Hey guys, in this video I'm going to give a quick overview of the Opsive character controller's ability system. So for this I have two base models that have no character controller set up for them. Let's just go to the character manager, character, and set up some characters for him. So let's first do Unity Chan. We can leave the defaults here. Let's just uncheck standard abilities and ragdoll and build our character. Now let's take our other character and just check standard abilities and ragdoll for the default setup. Build character, do the default ragdoll setup. Now we go back to our scene, we see that's added. We have no ragdoll here, we have a ragdoll here. If we look at our character ultimate locomotion script, we can look at the abilities. There's nothing here. There's some basic ones here because that's what we chose. So if we just disable this guy, we see that Unity Chan can only walk, and we can zoom, but we can't do anything much else. If we had items, we could use items, but as far as locomotion goes, we have nothing. With our other character, we can do a lot more. Sprint, jump, crouch, etc. So let's just make our Unity character manually do all of these things. So for this, we can just go to the abilities and add the abilities we want. So let's add the ragdoll ability. Oops. Actually, since we didn't create the ragdoll, we can just minus that because we would have to go create the ragdoll for now. So let's just add jump. So we have our jump, which plays a jump animation. There's a corresponding other ability called fall, which plays a fall animation. So a lot of these things are tied to playing an animation, doing an action. Some other important actions here is just move towards, which is used by like the interact and other abilities to position the character right when they're doing something else. As an example, let's add idle. And this is just an ability that sits at the bottom and will start when nothing else is active. Let's set the start delay to 1 second. Oops. Minimize that so we can see the inspector. And then we can select Unity Chan. We see that we got jump, fall, and then we're idle. One thing about this window is it is sequential. So if we put idle before jump, gotta select Unity Chan, and our idle is active. If we try to jump, we can't jump because it's being blocked by the idle ability being active. So you want that towards the bottom. A couple of other important abilities here that you'll probably want is the speed change, which will let you sprint. Height change, which lets you crouch. As you see, there's a bunch of them, like align to gravity zone, align to ground, damage visualization, which plays a damage animation. Dying can activate the ragdoll. There's a generic one, counter-attacking, interact, which we'll cover in a separate video because that one's pretty in-depth. Move with object, pick up item, quick start, quick stop, which depending on whether how fast your speed changes, we can play different animations. So you can go through the documentation on the website, and it covers all of these abilities very well. And when you add one, I recommend having this open because in the setup, some abilities take more setup than others. For example, let's take the Vault ability from the agility pack that we have. So what this essentially does, if there is an obstacle in the way, the character will essentially vault over it. So we move. So that doesn't work. That doesn't work because the layer for this is set differently. So to make it work, essentially, there's some setup that we need to do first. We need to make the cast offset smaller since we're casting too high. You can change the direction or the character object detection by either having triggers or casts. Let's just use character cast for now. And we have our layers set up properly. I've added some vaultable objects and wall layers to my walls and vaultable objects so I can just control it better. And we can keep the cast distance to 1. So now when we go into our game, we should be able to walk up to this. Oh. So you see how our vault is active, but our character's not actually doing anything. So that is a problem that we need to fix. So why our vault animation wasn't playing is because our controller on this character is still set to third-person controller demo, which doesn't have the agility animations. We can fix this really easily. If you have a controller that has the same thing, you can actually go to Character Manager oops, wrong thing. Character thing, add-ons, installed add-ons, agility animations. Just drag your character on. You have the animator controller. Hit add animations. The animations will be added. Then we can go back to our scene, play. And now we should be able to vault. Great. So now you see we can vault over this object and sprint. We can vault over this object. So there's some extra things that we can set up with this ability. For example, we could only have it vault when we're sprinting. So for that, let's just do button down continuous. We can take the change speeds input, use that for vault. Now we can sprint, and when we sprint next to an item, we automatically vault, but you see that the animation is once again off. So for that, you can adjust the cast distance. You can make it pretty small for the auto case, since you want to be pretty close to the object to trigger. And another thing you want to do is adjust just this angle. So when you're coming at an object at a certain angle, it limits when vault will actually trigger. So you see, if we come at this at too sharp of an angle, we'll vault. If it's that sharp, it won't. Some other interesting abilities are Align the Gravity Zone, which I'll cover in a separate video, which can create a cool gravity effect and planet transfer. Different things for falling, like slide, will make you slide on a sharp surface from the agility pack, there's stuff for hang, ledge strafing, dodging, going into a roll if you're falling from too high of a location. So just check out the documentation for what's available. You can also code your own actions, since essentially it's really just an action tied to an animator, and you can use the move towards and other built-in abilities to then chain them. So just experiment. Then there's also item abilities. So for item abilities, these are more tied to your items. Let's just add an ability called third person item pullback. Actually, we can't demo this on this character since we never set up items. So we're done with these characters, so I'm just going to delete them. I have a character here where that has the items that we set up previously with a bunch of added abilities such as ragdoll die, the damage visualization, roll, or vault, which happens automatically when you are sprinting, dodge, which will make you hop when you are aiming at something, and this ability called third person item pullback. So for this ability, I need to enable the character. So for this ability, what this does is, say you have your gun out and you're next to a wall. If you move close to the wall, you don't want your gun to clip into the wall. So you can have the character automatically just put the gun away. And I have it set up via states. So when I have the sword or the body out, it doesn't activate. And that can be accomplished like anything else. Just select the ability, and then there's the state drop down. I've added body and sword states, which are both configured to the same preset, which will disable and set it to manual. So for some of the other abilities, for example, we've also added a dodge ability, which will do this little hop when we're aiming. So it's neat. So it's pretty cool, easy to set up. Looks like it's pretty easy to tweak. I'll probably do another tutorial on more in-depth tweaking of these abilities.